Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to go over a couple of new stocks on the channel that we've never talked about before, but you probably have heard about them, potentially, maybe not, because I haven't really heard about them until this past week. I started seeing them post on Twitter and all this stuff, and then Motley Fool, I follow Motley Fool, and they're always kind of giving these little cryptic messages of like, these two stocks could be the next Nvidia and all this stuff, and then they want you to sign up and pay a fee just for you to tell them, rightfully so, because they are, a business and everything. I get that. But shout out to the person on Facebook who just dropped these tickers and was like, I'll save you some time, guys. And he dropped these two tickers, and I'm like, oh, okay. So this person's actually a member and probably have already paid and got it. But anywho, so we're going to take a look at them, talk about what they do, who they are, and we're going to look at their price action, look at the charts, break those down. And I'll tell you my thoughts and potential plans moving forward. So JOBY stock is the first one we're going to talk about. And then the one after that's going to be Archer Aviation. So here's why JOBY Aviation stock took off vertically this week. JOBY Aviation soared 47.2% this week on news of the expansion of an existing manufacturing site in Marina, California. The expansion is a key part of its growth plan as it prepares to scale up production of its air taxis in anticipation for entering the market. Heavyweight backing, there's no shortage of investment in the electrical vertical takeoff and landing market, and several competitors are developing air taxis. Still, as Tesla investors will argue regarding their company's robo-taxi ambitions, the company has the ability, know-how, and financial resources to create a commercially viable product will ultimately prevail. As you see JOBY's chart here, we're going to break that down here in a minute, more detailed, so just hang tight. The observation equally applies to JOBY Aviation, and while it doesn't have a manufacturing history behind it, unlike Tesla, it does have substantive backing of a company that does Toyota Motors. So Toyota, that's a big deal right there of them partnering with JOBY. It's also been received an investment from two transportation heavyweights, Uber Technologies and Delta Airlines. Toyota's investment is $890 million, includes a recent $250 million investment aimed at supporting certification and commercial production of their electric air taxi, while JOBY CEO, Jobin Beavert, has previously lauded Toyota's help in streamlining manufacturing processes and optimizing design. Okay, so very cool there for JOBY. So this, I'm going to link this article in the description below. So before we get into the charts, take a second, just kind of explain more about what they do, because I just read the article, and people who aren't familiar with this is probably like kind of how I was, like, well, what in the heck does that mean? So basically, a little bit more detailed look at what they do. Basically, aircraft design and manufacturing, and they'll design and manufacture its own vertical aircraft, which will take off and land vertically like a helicopter but fly efficiently, basically like an airplane. Air taxi services, this is crazy. Company plans to operate these aircrafts as a part of an air taxi service. It's going to initially start in Dubai, but eventually they're kind of spread out to other locations. Reducing noise and emissions, they're focused on creating a quiet and low emission air travel experience, and their aircraft design is actually significantly quieter than the traditional helicopters and using electric propulsion to reduce carbon emissions. Their vertical integration, they handle aspects of the aircraft and service in-house, including design, manufacturing, pilot training, operations, etc., etc. So this basically helps speed up the development and the testing, according to one of their company press releases. And then, as we mentioned, their partnerships with Toyota for investment and strategic guidance, and the FAA for testing and certification. So this company, this is a fairly new company that that's kind of been on everyone's radar. So kind of neat to see. So we're going to take a look at the charts really quickly, then we'll switch gears and go back to Archer Aviation. Alright guys, so taking a look at JOBY Aviation, man, can you imagine? Look at this, already a pretty substantial move in the market here. It bounced around at about the $6 to $7 level for the longest time. and then all of a sudden, man, it just started taking off. So hit a high of 1833 recently. Okay, just keep this in mind when these stocks go vertical like this, okay, and they go straight up. Typically you see some type of cool off period, which is okay. It doesn't mean they're just going to crash down to where they started. However, it doesn't mean that they'll, necessarily just go up forever, right? So if I'm entering in on this, if you want to get in just to kind of have a piece of it and kind of keep an eye on it, then, and what I may consider doing is just buying one share here and just hold it and see what it does. And if it decides to pull back and it comes back down, then you can dollar cost average in and start building out your position. Or if it just starts taking off and you're like, holy crap, at least you got some type of skin in the game. It may not make you rich, with one share. But for the longer term, you don't know what this company's going to do. I mean, if this is something big that's going to be, like Motley Fool says, the next NVIDIA, the next Tesla type atmosphere building up, then, I mean, one share would actually do, pretty good in the longer term, not in the shorter term, right? So historically, and this is back in this is in 2023, we've actually hit these levels before, and so this was back in 2023. Let me see here. This is not updated. I need to update this. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I got it situated now. So so you look at the chart, guys. It's just like, massive, just straight up move to the upside. So we should see, in my opinion, just technically speaking, some type of cool off periods. You see here, we're at about 90%, close to 90% of the RSI. We should see some type of pullback. I would watch the $15 level. Okay, so if it's me, I'm probably not even getting in right here. I'm waiting and watching to see if I can maybe get in at about 15, and maybe it can kind of consolidate there for a few days. But if it does, even if it gets down to like $13, but I think 15 would be a good level where it pulls back slightly. People take some profits, because think about it. There's some people that have been buying here for a long time at the $5, the $6, the $7 level, even maybe the $10 level. And then what happens is you have that massive run up. Some people have maybe 2x or 3x their money, and then they're going to take some money off the table, which puts the price down, which then maybe even allows them to get back into a lower price. But also people like myself who are watching, like, man, I'll get it at 15. It starts pulling back and you start buying at 15, it puts up. So anyway, so potential of a very longer term bull flag forming on this company here makes it quite interesting. Looks here that we have earnings. For some reason it will not tell me when. If I can get that, I'll drop it in the description, but it will not bring up here. So that's Joby. Okay, we're going to take a look at that one. Now we're going to go over to Archer. Okay, guys, Archer Aviation. We're actually going to talk a little bit about them on the front end before just diving into the article. All right, so basically, their primary focus is to create an air taxi service using their Midnight eVTOL. And so, it's going to be very similar to the company that we just talked about. All right, they aim to provide a faster, quieter, more sustainable alternative to your traditional transportation in congestive cities. All right, so like you're thinking of like a New York, a California, Chicago, whatever, that where like the traffic is really bad and everything. So this is where you could just hop on one of these things and just fly over all the traffic, I guess, and get from point A to point B. Archer's core product is Midnight, a 4-passenger piloted aircraft designed for a short-range urban commutes. Air taxi services. They envision a network of air taxi routes connecting key locations within cities, potentially revolutionizing urban transportation by reducing commute times. Sustainable aviation. They're committed to sustainable aviation, with the Midnight being an all-electric aircraft, reducing emissions and noise pollution compared to traditional helicopters. Global expansion. They're working towards global expansion, which plans for an air taxi operations in the UAE, India, and other regions, as well as partnerships with various infrastructure and aviation companies. Their manufacturing and certification. They're building a large-scale manufacturing facility in Covington, Georgia, and is working closely with the FAA to obtain the necessary certifications for its aircraft. Here's where I like this one here. is defense applications. Beyond commercial aircrafts, air taxis, they're also exploring defense applications for their technology, okay, which I think would be a good thing there for the longer term. So let's read through this article here. It says this is more or less talking about their price target, and basically the analysts set new price targets. By the way, this article is from yesterday, okay, so from July 18th. They went and they set it from 12 to 18, a new price target on Archer Aviation. It says, of course, they're trading down 0.9%. They had some insider buying and selling in May. There was some people that actually sold a considerable amount of shares back in May. It doesn't say really anything about buying, but you can check on the website, on the SEC website, of who bought and sold. Sorry. Hedge funds weigh in on Archer. They recently made changes to their position. California State Teachers Retirement lifted its holdings by 26% during the fourth quarter. California State Teachers Retirement now owns over 241,000 shares, and the stock of the company's stock valued at over $2 million. Oh wow! So Jamie Montgomery Scott lifted its holdings in Archer Aviation by 64.2% in the first quarter. They now own over 81,000 shares. You see some other ones here. Vanguard Group. If you go on Yahoo, you can look at what their holdings are. You can see the big institutions are buying and stuff here. So yeah, so that's Archer Aviation. So let's take a look at their charts and let's see what they're telling us. This article also will be linked in the description. All right, guys, so Archer Aviation, and this is ticker symbol ACHR, 180-day 4-hour time frame. This chart on the 180-day time frame looks a little bit more appeasing to me, just because of the Golden Cross breakout indicator just signaling here. We are in the middle of a pullback, but forming quite a pretty decent bull flag here. It makes for an interesting swing. 12.21 is going to be your level that you want to see. If it's going to come down to that level, it bounce off of about $12 if it's going to get down to that point. Okay, so keep in mind when some news comes out like this, there's going to typically be, like I said, a period where things kind of settle down because people are taking profits and all that type of stuff, and the hype kind of might die down for a little while. So you might see some consolidation, or you could see it sell off, pop up, and continue moving. But 1442 is what you're going to want to watch for. If it can get through there, it's probably got some more room to run. But if it pops its head back up again and there and gets rejected, not that great of a sign. I will say longer term, looking out, Joby's chart actually looks a lot more clean than this here. As you see a bunch of spike ups and spike downs, spikes ups and spikes down. So kind of take your pick on which one you would like to look at or invest in. For me, if I'm going to do anything on this, I'm going to look for some potential swing setups on the bull flag patterns that we have potentially forming here next week. On a longer term perspective, which one would I choose? They're pretty similar. There's still a lot of unknowns. So if I did anything, I wouldn't probably put an exceptional amount of money, but I might buy a couple of them and just hold them and see what happens for the longer term. And then as things develop, if it turns out to be beneficial in my favor, great. If not, I'm not out that much. But I think swing trades in the shorter term are going to develop decent for me. So if I happen to enter into some, I may post another video and I'll put that out there. But I wanted to put these two stocks on your radar. Let me know what your comments are below, if you own them, if you're buying, you're selling. If you know more about it than me, drop some knowledge to the people below. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.